You did not burn out. You did not have a breakdown. You did not post a dramatic resignation letter on LinkedIn or cry in a bathroom stall on a Tuesday afternoon. You just stopped believing. Somewhere between the third performance review that changed nothing and the 14th Sunday night where your chest tightened at 9 p.m., your brain quietly ran the numbers, and the math stopped making sense. This is not a crisis. It is a calculation. And neuroscience is finally catching up to what 55% of American workers already feel in their bones. Here is what is actually happening inside your head, and why it is not what anyone thinks. Most people think escaping the rat race is about money. Save enough, invest right, hit your number, then you are free. But the people who actually leave? They will tell you the money was the easy part. The hard part was realizing that their brain had been hijacked. Here is what neuroscience tells us. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for long-term planning, impulse control, and rational decision-making, loses up to 20% of its neural connectivity after just 3 weeks of chronic stress. That is not burnout. That is structural brain damage from a system you were told would reward you. A 2025 Eagle Hill consulting study found that 55% of US workers are burned out, a 6-year high. Gallup puts it higher, with 67% reporting burnout symptoms at their current job. And the American Institute of Stress estimates this costs the economy $300 billion annually. But here is the part nobody talks about. The people who escape do not do it with a grand gesture. They do it with what I call the quiet calculation, a series of small cognitive shifts that rewire how the brain evaluates time, status, and identity. And there are 5 psychological patterns that nearly all of them share. 5 patterns. And the third one will probably hit different. Nadia is 38. She is a UX director at a mid-sized tech company in Portland. $127,000 a year. Good benefits. The kind of job her parents brag about at dinner parties. She also works 52 hours a week, commutes 54 minutes each way, spends another 6 hours weekly on emails she reads after her daughter goes to bed. One night, she did something strange. She opened a spreadsheet and calculated her actual hourly rate, not $61 an hour, which is what $127,000 divided by 2,080 work hours looks like on paper. But the real number, after commuting, after the unpaid overtime, after the Sunday evening prep, after the work clothes and the meal delivery, because she is too tired to cook, $31.40 an hour. Her neighbor, a freelance illustrator who works 25 hours a week from home, makes 34. This is what researchers at the University of Bath call temporal recalibration. It is the moment when the brain recalculates not just how much you earn, but how much each dollar costs you in irreplaceable time. The average American spends 330 hours per year commuting. That is almost 14 full days just sitting in a car, going somewhere you do not want to be. And here is the thing about time. Your prefrontal cortex knows it is finite, even when your ego does not. People who quietly exit the rat race almost always start here. Not with a vision board, not with a side hustle, with a spreadsheet. But the spreadsheet is just the trigger. The real shift happens in the next pattern. Marcus is 44, financial analyst in Denver. 21 years in the same industry. His LinkedIn says VP of Strategic Planning. His therapist says he has no idea who he is outside of that title. This is what psychologists call enmeshment. When your professional identity becomes so fused with your personal identity that removing one feels like erasing the other. A 2023 study from the American Psychological Association found that 59% of workers who left their jobs did so to find a better values fit, nearly twice the number who left for better pay. They were not chasing money. They were trying to find themselves underneath the title. Marcus describes it like this. I spent 2 decades becoming someone my company needed. I forgot to become someone my family recognized. The neuroscience here is specific. Your brain's default mode network, the system that activates during self-reflection, creativity, and identity formation, gets suppressed by chronic task-focused work. Researchers at Harvard found that the default mode network is most active during mental downtime. When you fill every minute with productivity, you literally starve the part of your brain that knows who you are. People who escape the rat race do not just change jobs. They rebuild the neural pathways that corporate life eroded. And Marcus? He teaches fly fishing now, makes $52,000 a year, sleeps through the night for the first time in 12 years. If you have ever introduced yourself by your job title and felt something hollow afterward, you already know what this feels like. This is the one that breaks people's brains. You get the raise. You feel great for about 11 days. Then you feel exactly the same. So you chase the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation, or the hedonic treadmill. In 1978, Brickman and Campbell coined the term to describe how humans quickly return to a baseline level of happiness after positive events. You get promoted, you feel the rush. 2 weeks later, your brain recalibrates and starts scanning for the next reward. A 2024 study, published in the Journal of Happiness Studies, confirmed what earlier research suggested. People are constantly running on this treadmill, with hedonic adaptation causing individuals to return to a baseline level of pleasure regardless of income gains. But here is the thing. The people who quietly leave the rat race, they do not step off the treadmill by getting rich enough to stop running. They step off by recognizing the treadmill exists.
I think I've figured
Elena
it out.
is 31, marketing manager in Austin. She made $89,000 and spent $87,200. Got a raise to $104,000 and spent $101,500. Her savings rate stayed at exactly 2.4%, no matter what she earned. The day she recognized the pattern, she said it felt like waking up inside a dream. I was not earning more. I was just running faster. 30% of knowledge workers say they would take a 20% pay cut for schedule flexibility. Not more money, more time. That is the hedonic treadmill losing its grip. So if the treadmill is a trap, what is the alternative? That is where pattern 4 gets interesting. Your body keeps score. It always does. Chronic workplace stress does not just make you tired. It floods your system with cortisol, the stress hormone that, in small doses, keeps you alert. In sustained doses, it rewires your brain. Here is what the research shows. Sustained cortisol exposure shrinks the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory and emotional regulation, by reducing neurogenesis by roughly 50%. It simultaneously hyperactivates the amygdala, creating what neuroscientists describe as a brain predisposed to be in a constant state of fight or flight. 72% of American workers report moderate to high stress levels, the highest figure recorded in 7 years, according to AFLAC's 2025 Workforces Report. Women experience it more intensely. 54% of female workers report chronic stress compared to 45% of male colleagues. But the people who quietly exit, they do not wait for the heart attack at 52. They listen to the smaller signals. Nadia, the UX director from Portland, noticed her jaw was permanently clenched. Marcus realized he could not remember the last book he had read for pleasure. Elena developed insomnia that no supplement could fix. A retired ER physician put it this way: I could not see myself continuing the stressful life. Despite the higher pay level, the job was bad for my health. What good is money without health? The cortisol reckoning is not dramatic. It is Tuesday afternoon and your hands are shaking for no reason. It is a Tuesday you do not even remember by Wednesday. Most people think this means you are weak. Neuroscience says it means your brain is doing exactly what it is designed to do. Here is the biggest misconception about people who leave the rat race. Everyone assumes they just quit. They do not. They build. Elena did not hand in her resignation on a Friday afternoon with a dramatic speech. She spent 14 months quietly restructuring her life. She moved from a $2,100 apartment to a $1,400 one. She paid off her car. She started freelancing on weekends, not for passion, but for proof that she could earn without a badge. The day she finally left, she had 7 months of expenses saved, 2 freelance clients, and 0 drama. Her manager did not even realize she had been planning it. This is what differentiates the quiet escapees from the burnout casualties. Burnout is reactive. It happens to you. The quiet calculation is proactive. You engineer it. Research from career shifters found that 73% of career changers say their old work negatively affected their overall life satisfaction. But the successful ones do not just run from something bad. They walk towards something designed. Marcus built his fly fishing instruction business over 2 years while still at his desk. Nadia spent 18 months building a consulting practice before she told anyone. No manifesto, no LinkedIn post, just quiet, relentless preparation. As one comment on a popular video put it, leave the rat race to the rats. But there is a cost to leaving that nobody prepares you for, and it is not financial. Nobody tells you about the silence. When you leave a structured career, you do not just lose a paycheck. You lose an identity infrastructure. The meetings, the deadlines, the performance reviews, they were exhausting. But they also told you who you were every single day. Marcus describes the first 3 months after leaving as the loudest quiet I have ever experienced. No one asks what you are working on. No one needs your approval. No Slack notifications. No quarterly goals. Researchers call this the identity vacuum, and it triggers the same anxiety pathways as social rejection. Your amygdala does not know the difference between being fired and choosing to leave. It just knows the tribe is gone. This is why 55% of people who quietly crack at work are 6.2 times more likely to develop full clinical burnout. The exit is not free. It costs you the version of yourself that everyone knew. But here is what Nadia figured out, and Marcus and Elena. The vacuum is not permanent. It is a doorway. Remember Nadia's spreadsheet? She kept it. It became something else entirely. Nadia still has that spreadsheet, but she does not calculate her hourly rate anymore. She calculates something else now. Hours spent doing things that do not require recovery afterward. Last month, her number was 94%. Marcus teaches fly fishing 4 days a week and spends Fridays with his daughter. Elena freelances from a $1,400 apartment with a balcony and a cat named Decimal. None of them posted about it. None of them gave a TED talk. None of them went viral. They just ran the numbers, found the answer uncomfortable, and then, quietly, acted on it. Your brain is not broken. It is not weak. It is doing exactly what millions of years of evolution designed it to do. Recognize when the cost of staying exceeds the risk of leaving. The only question is whether you will listen. Calculate your real hourly rate this week. Not the number on your offer letter. The real one. You might not like what you find, but your prefrontal cortex already knows. If this hit different, subscribe. We break this down every week. And send this to the one person you know who checks their email at 11 p.m. and calls it dedication. Next time, why people with less money somehow always have more than you. The math will surprise you.